Hello, hello, hello. What is up, my dudes? It feels like it's been a while since I've been on YouTube. Yeah. What's good, guys? So one thing that I've noticed about YouTube, and a lot of the like Swift content, Xcode iOS development content on YouTube, it's been pretty sparse lately, right? And do any of you guys have any guesses as to why, like, the iOS communities feels like it's dying a little bit on YouTube? It's a little unfortunate. I mean, you can kind of see it in a couple of different ways. Maybe it leaves me a better space, or maybe my content will kind of float to the top and make its way into everyone's search query through SEO. I don't know, but it feels like the space is a little dead. Yeah. But yeah, I'm just kind of trying to prepare some video recordings that I want to do a little bit later. And thought I'd hop in for a quick little chat if anyone has any questions about anything. And we'll try to go from there. Wow. Okay, there's a slight delay with the chat. So let's see. Jojo, hello. Islam, Faltaru, Patrick Frey, Mitley B, Gugupreet Singh, Romulus, good to see you. Hope you're enjoying the Fullstack course so far, Romulus. Justin Allen, what's today's plan? No plan really. For these live chats, I haven't really planned out anything. Maybe I should, considering everyone's just hanging out for a little bit. Yeah. If anyone has any suggestions as to what you want these live streams to be focused on, because answering these questions does get a little tiresome after a while. But yeah, if there's anything you'd like to see more of, please let me know. I remember I used to do some live coding during these streams, and man, live coding is hard. Live coding is very difficult, especially when you're trying to read the chat at the same time. When you watch the Twitch streamers play their video games, it's like really easy. There's a video game going on, you can just focus on the game, and the commentary is sort of secondary to what you're seeing on the screen, which is nice. Is there an NDA on the betas currently? So Justin Allen, that's an interesting question. There is I guess you can call it an NDA. And when you sign up for the beta programs, you do agree with Apple to not expose the beta and the technology behind it. I feel like no one at this point, after like 5 years, everyone's just releasing beta content videos now that no one's really respecting those rules anymore. And yeah. So Sarah Bainbridge. Bainbridge. That's an awesome last name. Bainbridge. So you'd think that YouTube is saturated with content already. There's only so many ways you can teach the same thing. That is so true. Nail on the head. Yeah. So here's the thing that I notice, especially with iOS channels. It feels like, at the very most, you can probably put up 30 to 50 videos about your life experience with iOS so far. I don't think beyond 50 videos, it's very hard to push out new creative content. And going into YouTube, the first thing you want to do is, I want to make different stuff. I want to teach everyone everything that I know. And after about 50 videos, you run the well's dry. It's tapped out. Don't ask me how I've been able to do this for so long. I don't even know. So it's hard to create unique tech content. Yeah, that's so true, man. Juan Francisco, hello from Spain. Hello from the Bay Area of California. There's a city here called Dublin, California, and I currently live in Dublin. I moved away from San Francisco a while back. I feel so much better. Like, you can now see me in t-shirts without a large ass jacket. So cold in San Francisco. You can't even believe it. Hello, Diego. Hello, Amit. Romulus, you are enjoying the course. That's awesome. Would I recommend learning Angular or Ionic? I don't know. Do you guys think Angular or Ionic is worth learning? I don't really have a good answer for that. Data sync between app and server. There's never a really good solution for that. I don't know what Telegram is. You need tacos. I do need tacos. Mario Kovacevics. Server-side Swift. Do course machine learning with Swift. Yeah. I think I've answered this question about server-side Swift quite a few times. What else can I say about this? So when you're thinking about like content, you have to ask yourself a couple of questions. Like, why isn't there more of this stuff? So nobody's really using Swift server-side. At least not a lot of major companies are using it. So you have to ask yourself why that is. And the answer to that is there's already like a bajillion different ways you can launch a server with much easier languages. So why go through the headache of learning Swift server-side when it's so niche? Yeah. So Swift with AWS. Someone on the AWS team reached out to me the other day and asked if I could do a review of the AWS stack for mobile. I can't remember what the mobile stack is called, but it's sort of like the equivalent to Firebase with AWS. And maybe I should respond to that email. Will I be putting out Android Kotlin tutorials? So I'm thinking about putting up an official course on the website that builds out, I don't know, some kind of Android app using Kotlin. And then it's going to be 40 lessons about. If you guys are curious, I produce roughly 2 to 3 videos in one day. And so when I say produce, I mean you shoot the video, edit, record, or you shoot, you edit, you render, upload, create the thumbnails, any other like zip files. I can do about 3 videos all together in one day. And that's about like a 9-hour day. Oh, Trejo Mundez. Yesterday I had passed on a second interview for a fintech company. Cool. Financial tech is always fun. What do I recommend that you study for the next interview? I don't know. It's really a gamble. I'm going to assume for like a final round interview, most of the time they'll give you a fairly large like architectural problem. And, they'll try to pick your brain as to what your solution to this large problem would be. But I guess, yeah, it's really random. like different companies have different people working at different tiers, and the questions will always differ. Like out of the 4 or 5 different software companies I worked for, most of the questions were like totally random and different. So Vapor is also a little too niche. Yeah. Like Vapor is even more niche than just server-side Swift in general. So I haven't gotten this question in a while, but this is like a variant of the UI building and code question. So I think it's awesome that everyone out there has kind of moved away from, wondering whether or not Storyboard is the better tool compared to code. Everyone now can see like the distinct differences between the two different styles, right? And a lot of people are kind of more preferring building things out in code now. And that's great. It wasn't really like my goal to change everyone's mind. It's just I wanted to shine a little bit of a light on the more professional way of doing things. And so what's the best way of learning actually? Like maybe I can share a story as to how I learned how to build UI through code. So when I first started out, there was never a thing called a storyboard, and you can only do things through a zib, the zib files. So if you guys know zibs, that was the only UI tech that existed in Xcode when I started. And when I got into iOS, I wanted to do something that like UI kit table views didn't provide. I made this like graphical program, kind of like a video game. And when you're building out a video game, you have to construct everything yourself. So, I learned how to draw a circle, draw a square, paint in the square, fill it, maybe connect some dots, and then draw lines everywhere. So for me, like I also came from a background where we drew like graphs with code. So you can imagine how complex a graph is, right? Like a bar chart, a line chart, multiple line charts, multiple axes, X, Y axis. So we managed this entire drawing layer that helped us put all this UI on the screen. And I was already a part of a team that built out that type of project. So, building out things with code was very familiar to me, and it wasn't like a totally new paradigm that I had to adjust to. It was actually my natural tendency was to just do everything through code, because when you're working at a real software company, you do things through code. And that company got acquired by like $7 billion. So when you're working at a $7 billion company, then you got to make sure you do things the best way possible. Yeah. Hello, Adelpho. Professor's here. The professor. The professor. You guys ever watch And1 videos? Basketball And1 videos? There's a guy called the professor. Anyways. I'm following your Node tutorial. That was awesome. Now I want to learn Angular Node with Firebase. I think there's already like an Angular Firebase YouTube channel and a website. So you should probably check that out. I think I've watched a couple of his videos and they're really good. Oh man, there's a lot of questions today. How long has it been since I went full-time YouTube? Oh man, it's been 3 years and 8 months. I started in 2016, 18, 17, yeah. 2016, January. I quit my job in December 2015. And never looked back since. Hope you guys have enjoyed my efforts on the online world. Hello from Eugene, Oregon. Hey, Adolfo. Yeah. So I was recently watching an Andrew Yang video where he held a small gathering of people. And he answered a lot of questions in Oregon. I think it was more more specifically Portland. And there's apparently a housing crisis in Portland now. Yeah, it seems Portland, Oregon is turning into one of the major housing markets, and inflation, I guess housing prices, they're experiencing an extreme inflation in the pricing of housing. And there's nothing really anyone can do about it. It's becoming the next, I wouldn't say San Francisco, but maybe the next like Seattle, where housing is getting really crazy. It seems everyone's, I don't know, moving into Portland for some reason. Could you show us how to have an expanding collapsing header in code? Don't I already have a tutorial on that? Use Node.js as server side. Yeah, I mean, that's what we're doing already. If you want to check out the Fullstack course in the description, that uses Node.js sales as server side. The reason why I use Node.js instead of anything else, there's really no like technical reason as to why I'm preferring Node.js. The main reason why I'm using Node is because when you look at, like, if you go onto AWS, Google Firebase, Microsoft websites, like Twilio, Twitter, like all these major tech companies, right? They have a specific SDK that's available that you can use in your Node.js programs, and they provide this JavaScript SDK. And if you're trying to build out a server side that doesn't have this SDK support from these major companies, then you're gonna have to build out this tool yourself or find someone's like third-party library. There's really no problem with that, but then all these companies are providing this first-class SDK already in JavaScript, and you might as well use it natively in your Node.js program because they're both written in JavaScript. So that's like the main reason why I chose Node.js, because Google is providing you their own libraries for you. Like, why don't waste your time trying to build things out yourself, guys. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Am I interested in making collab video with tech lead? I don't know, maybe. I think we live pretty far apart. Yeah. I think I've said this in other videos, but I don't like making those videos anymore where you just talk about coding life, even though that's what I'm doing now. I don't like making like inspirational content. I find that really cringe. It's kind of like me answering these questions. It's kind of cringe. So Solomon Shah, make a direction of iOS development from difficulty of journey is a difficult journey for a beginner. I guess maybe I can make one of those videos. I mean, the journey of being a professional developer is all pretty similar. Like, there's already a billion developer videos out there that go through their own story. The main thing about being a developer is it's not like any other job. You get certification and then you become that thing. Like, let's say you get your accounting certification, your CPA, right? So in America, I think it's called a CPA. I don't know what it stands for, but it allows you to practice as a certified something accountant. And that's what you do. You study for 2 years. You get your CPA certified. You get this paper, right? The certification paper, and then you go become an accountant. You don't do that in the developer world. You can literally just study something for like an hour, and if you understand it, and then you go to the interview, you get that same question, then you answer it and then you get hired. That's how it works. And then you work at a job for like 2 to 3 years and you get better at it, and then you move on. It's more equivalent to like being someone that builds out like roofs, or like a plumber. You can just be a plumber if you go into, you know, doing plumbing jobs. Server-side Swift is not mature enough, so it's early. Yeah, it's too early. Forget Flutter and use native language. I think I'm still kind of in between whether or not Flutter is a good tech. So there was a lot of pushback on that Flutter video I made last month. And I think that video has like about 100 thumbs down. Let me try to check. There's quite a bit of thumbs down on that Twitter or Flutter video. And it's understandable. It's one of those topics where it's very controversial if you even give an opinion. So 80%. Yeah, there's quite a bit of dislikes. And, you know, I don't really care so much about like-dislike ratio. But Flutter is... So I guess what I'll try to reiterate that I didn't word so correctly in that video is that if you're trying to build out a pretty sophisticated project, right? Let's say the main 5 things that you want to integrate inside of your app right now is Apple sign-in, a video player, video editor, and then a video uploading from the editor, and then maybe, you know, a couple of different list views, right? So if you're using Flutter, then building out the list views is really easy. If you're trying to build out a video player and a video editor, I don't think Flutter is a good idea, because you're going to have to interact with the native like AV player and all the native frameworks, right? And if you're trying to build Apple sign-in, then there's no way that Flutter is going to support that. So if this is the kind of app you're trying to build, then can't do it. But if you're trying to build something like silly, then you might as well just use Flutter. Again, some kind of JSON consuming app, you can build out anything. It doesn't have to be Flutter, maybe like React or something. Teaching coding is another way to master different techniques, languages, and other tech stuff. Your growth of learning will be great. It's like learning steroids, speaking from experience. Yeah. So when I'm learning like a new thing to teach everyone, I don't find myself learning it any better, even though I'm teaching it. There's only so much stuff that's new when I'm teaching something, that when I'm actually recording the video, I already understand most of it, like 90% of what I need to know. Although, yeah, I don't know. There are times when I kind of figure out, oh, I didn't understand this topic at all. And this is how it really works. I find myself in that situation too. Trying to listen to background music. I've been listening to a lot of Korean pop music lately. I'm not Korean though. Working team is not good. When you're working in a team project for software, there can be a lot of tension between team members that I've experienced. Yeah. In like large software companies, you go through this code review cycle where everyone's code reviewing each other's code. And sometimes people use that code review process to exert their authority on you. So it's kind of like an ego between team members, and the more senior guy will make more critical remarks on your specific code commit. And sometimes it'll take like a week or 2 weeks to finally get your code into into production. And there's a lot of conflicts that can arise when team members are overtly trying to like subvert your commits. And I've heard many stories about that. I've experienced that personally as well. So I guess the one thing that I hated the most about working for a corporate company is all the internal conflicts that can arise between team members that don't like each other. Yeah, I don't know. Are you guys interested in more stories between people that don't seem to get along? Am I still in SF? No, I'm already in Portland, or not Portland, but I'm already in Dublin, California. Denver, Portland, Seattle, the same problem with property and rent. Yeah, it's unfortunate that these places that seem to be good, seem to be like good places to live in. The technology market comes in, overinflates housing prices, and the typical tech story. Node is very, very easy. PayPal as well using Node.js. Yep, 100% Node. Java for Android, Swift for iOS. Yeah. Yeah. I think one more thing I'll say about Node.js is that so I don't know if this is the right interpretation or if this is actually true, but it seems like mobile developers don't really like browser development or web development. And the language that we're all trying to avoid is maybe JavaScript. I used to think that way a lot. I used to subscribe to that mentality, that philosophy. And after you learn JavaScript for maybe a year or two, you're no longer like so afraid of touching that language. And sooner or later, I would say the one thing that I would redo in my career, if I could redo it, is I would have probably became a web developer using JavaScript before doing mobile. That's the one thing that I would redo. Yeah. But then back then, all of this technology wasn't there yet. So there wasn't like React, there wasn't Vue, there wasn't Ember. There was only like Angular 1.0. So that's what I started out with, and I didn't like it. So I moved away from it into mobile. Yeah. So yeah. One advice I would give everyone is to learn JavaScript as soon as possible. It'll make your career blossom in ways that you wouldn't expect. What's my opinion on Kitura? Same thing with Vapor. Too niche. Mario, I'm working on a server-side Vapor project for generating iOS apps using Xcode and delivering them over mail with AWS S3 URLs. So Swift is definitely powerful. You just need to find where. Yeah. Yeah. This sounds pretty niche. I'm sure you can build out a pretty sophisticated project knowing what you know now, Mario. So if the technology stack works for you, then great. Like for example, for me, the website I'm using is built off Golang, and it's pretty niche as well. And it works. Unity. I don't really know Unity. Where can we expect the first code only without any videos course? Greetings from Germany. So code only projects. Okay, when I'm done with the Fullstack course using Node, then I'll start working again on the code only section of the website. Yeah. So the website has a different like payment processing on the website right now is only coded for purchasing these video courses. When I have to configure the website for like code only projects, I don't know if I'll reuse that chunk of the website, because I don't want to rewrite the payment system. I don't even want to look at my own code when I go back to fixing bugs in the payment. Who am I really? What about my life? Do I have a dog? I wish I had a dog. My current landlord does not allow pets. Otherwise, I would consider maybe getting a cat. I would really love to get a dog, but it's a little too much work to manage a dog. And a cat is much easier and simpler. Just give it some cat food and let it play with some toys, and it's kind of good. No wife, no child. Is my earning from YouTube enough for a living and anything like that? So earnings from YouTube, I think it's about like $800 to $1,000 a month for YouTube. And as I move away from producing so many YouTube videos, the revenue decreases. And I mostly just live off of the website. You know, there's a lot of there's a ton of you guys that are supporting me through the website and paying for courses. So eternally grateful for everyone that allows me to keep doing this. I want to do this for another year to see where things are at the 5-year mark. If it's not going as I expect it to or plan out for the 5-year plan, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll go back to the corporate world and be a corporate developer. You are an awesome teacher. Thank you, Arun. Philip Carlino. Has anyone noticed all the jobs on job sites are mostly companies trying to get data from you? You have to sift through so much bullshit to find a legit job posting. I'd say 90% is BS. I don't think I have an informed opinion on this because I haven't applied for jobs in a while. I'll tell you what though, when I get the emails from LinkedIn, every email that I get from people that are trying to solicit me to do something for them, they all seem pretty fake and BS to me. So I never respond to anyone anymore, unfortunately. There's a lot of you guys that actually add me on Facebook and try to send me a message, and the same thing happens on Instagram. I don't really do social media contact anymore. I'm not like a recluse. Like I'm not a loner, but I don't answer DMs. Let's just put it that way. Eudaimonian. Hey Brian, which of your courses would you say is the most complete in terms of imparting general iOS skills to an intermediate developer looking to make a purchase soon? Currently, I would say the AppStore course is probably your best bet in building out a real application. And if you already understand like lists views and table views and collection views and JSON decoding, then that course will help reinforce that knowledge that you have so far. Yeah. The Tinder course is like it's good. I mean, I think all the courses are great, obviously. And I don't know, maybe that one's a little harder. I don't know if they're harder. All this stuff to me is like pretty simple. You just look at the code and it just works and you do it. I don't know. I also think that when you're a developer, you have to look at things that you don't understand. if you keep looking at code that you already understand, then you're never going to grow and understand how other people program, and you never expose yourself to different ideas and different technologies. So I guess what I'm trying to say is get out of your own comfort zone. And I think if you have that mentality going into like maybe the AppStore course or the Tinder one or the Fullstack course, then you'll get a lot out of it. Oh, David Chen, I'm a second year CS at Berkeley and was wondering what your major was and how it prepared you for industry. So I transferred from Sacramento City College into UC Berkeley, and it was very different. City College is like extremely easy. I got like a 3.96 GPA at Sacramento City College. And then at UC Berkeley, I didn't even get a 3.0 when I graduated. So very different world. I initially studied applied, or I initially wanted to get into the CS program, but transferring into UC Berkeley and trying to fulfill the CS requirements was kind of tricky for me. If you're starting off at UC Berkeley, you're 4 years, you're starting off like your first year there, then knowing how to navigate the UC Berkeley system is something that you've already learned at your first year. So I had to do that in my third year at UC Berkeley, and I found it extremely difficult. And then, basically I was an applied math major trying to get applied math in CS. And I had to drop out of some of the more advanced CS courses because I wasn't ready for the material. If I were to go back, I would do it totally different. But that's kind of my road with university. If you guys want to hear more about my horror stories at UC Berkeley, I'm more than willing to share. Just let me know in the comments. Eventually I graduated with an applied math degree in industrial engineering and operations research, so IEOR. And the classes that I enjoyed most at UC Berkeley was the IEOR classes. I hated applied math courses. They're just so stupid. Clutch the dev from Elk Grove. Hey, Clutch the dev. I might be heading back to Elk Grove tonight. Clutch, if you're in the area, maybe we can have a nice coffee. Just promise not to kidnap me and do bad things to me. The last time I went to a meetup, was it a meetup? No, last time I was at AltConf during WWDC in 2017. Yeah, 2017. It was fun. I met a lot of people and got to take a lot of pictures with the people there. The best course on your website is the Tinder course. Great. Tinder MVVM will help me grow. Fullstack course is great. I'm out of my comfort zone. Just bought JavaScript head first book, 600 pages. Hope to do 10 pages a day. Yeah. So Romulus, I would say that I totally understand what you're saying. If you're not comfortable with JavaScript, it's like you don't see how easy it is because there's so less code and everything is so compact. It seems like it's hard to understand, but it's super simple after you get through that initial hurdle. And yeah, I think that's a good idea. Just buying a JavaScript book and seeing different examples of JavaScript code, I think is extremely helpful. So before making this full stack course, I've been programming in JavaScript for maybe a total of like 3 to 4 years. So I'm obviously more comfortable with it, to the point where I think teaching it is not super hard. But yeah, you bring up a good point. Just getting out of your comfort zone, you start to expose your mind to things that you've never thought of. And it's great. Like if I were to do something out of my comfort zone, it would be, I think I would want to do maybe machine learning, AR, game development, and what else do I not know? Yeah, maybe those three things. Because I don't really have a lot of experience with it. Any possible discount on the Instagram course? If I ever get around to implementing discount codes, then I will let you know. The camera part. So the camera code you can find online. I mean, I do walk you through how to type out the code, but the code you can find online. I mean, I found it online. I just make it really easy to understand. Yeah, I'm good at teaching. Just don't stop doing it. I really enjoy your videos, and I think that you and the Stanford teacher is the best sources for learning iOS development. Yeah, you know the guy that teaches the Stanford courses? There's something about him that makes it very easy to get engaged. Yeah, I find that the best teachers are the ones that aren't overly trying to show off they know how to program really well. And for someone that wants to be a teacher, they really have to they have to have the ability to put themselves in the shoes of the students, right? So for example, when you're trying to teach a hard topic, let's say you want to teach someone how a cell phone works and how to get on the internet. Teaching someone that doesn't know how to do that, like, is difficult because they don't know what the internet is, and they don't know what a cell phone is, and what the settings is, and what Wi-Fi is. So, you know, if you're teaching an older person how to do this, very difficult. Yo, what's up? I do not like Firebase Cloud Functions as it requires to run remotely using the Firebase server. Yeah, I would tend to agree with this. Like 95% of the way, I would agree to. I prefer not using Cloud Functions as well. So the reason why I like Firebase Cloud Functions is, you know, let's say you're not a server developer and you don't want to build your own backend, then yeah, this is the only option that you have pretty much. But building out a server is not that hard. So this is like it's a weird place. I would say it's strange that Firebase has decided to dedicate so many resources to building out cloud functions when building out a backend server is not hard. You just do the thing and then you don't have to rely on cloud functions, which is so painful to deal with. Like, I think the worst thing in Firebase right now is cloud functions. That's the worst feature that they have. Everything else is decent. Cloud functions, piece of doo-doo. So Argino's De La Rosa. Should I start with SwiftUI apps now or keep dealing with UI kit as an indie dev? I would say that if you are going to be an indie dev, don't even consider doing SwiftUI. It seems like you have like zero experience as an indie dev if you're asking this question. I try not to talk down people, but this question seems kind of ridiculous. Do you think it's okay to include the apps we built using your courses in our portfolios? Okay, so this is a pretty good question, and I get this question a lot too. So the question is, following the courses and you build out the exact same app as the course, right? Should you put it into your portfolio as you're submitting your app or submitting your application to your employer? I guess yes and no. It really depends. So with any project that you put in your portfolio, you have to know from back to front and front to back exactly how this project is built out, because they'll be asking you why you did this, why you decided to use this framework instead of this other framework. And if you were to do it totally differently, like build out this feature in a different, more efficient way, how would you do it now? So you have to answer these questions. And when you're following my courses, like you're just following my thought process and you're not really engaging in your own thinking through the problem. So you're kind of stuck in the middle at this point. And what I'm trying to say is you most likely want to build out your own version of that project using your own like idea. This way you can kind of navigate the entire development cycle yourself. I don't know. Do you get what I mean? Yeah, today's just chatting. Yeah, I love UIKit. You know, UIKit's not bad. UIKit's great. It's just that there's too much code involved. Mr. Joe Yellow about all of your courses. Thank you, Ryan. You're a great teacher. Thanks, Joe. I don't know what your name is on the website, but thank you, Mr. Joe Yellow. I don't think I have a Mr. Joe Yellow's username on the website. Firebase or MongoDB. Aren't these like totally different things? It's kind of weird to be asking this question. So if you were to build out your own social media app, you wouldn't go with Firebase. So this, I don't, maybe this question is not worded the best, but here's the deal. Here's the deal. The first question is, why does anyone even need Firebase? That's the question. Why do you want to use Firebase? You need to answer that first. Well, my conclusion is that Firebase is a service that is offered for people out there that don't know how to build out a backend, and also for people that don't want to manage their own backend machine in the cloud. And yeah, that's what it's aimed for. That's the demographic mostly. You know, there's other reasons for using Firebase too, but I think mostly that's what people, when they turn to Firebase, those are the two questions that they want to have answered. And it turns out building out your own custom backend is like not hard. So building out my own social media app, I already know how to build a backend. So why would I want to use Firebase? It's like I don't want to purposefully handicap myself with Firebase technology. The worst thing about Firebase, let's just put it this way. When you store data in the Firebase cloud, either real-time DB or cloud Firestore, trying to get data out of your database, it's like exponentially harder compared to having your own backend server fetching data, consolidating it into one thing so that your iOS app isn't like doing extremely crazy looping and executing 5 different background threads to get the data. You don't have to go through that. Okay, so just finished the core data course today. Still running all codes and migration. I like the migration section. Yeah, the migration section was very hard to explain, actually. You don't know how many times it took me to record the migration step to have it break correctly and then to have it solved correctly. I had to do that so many times. Next app can be Uber with Firestore or chat app like Discord. I would probably yeah, I don't know if I would use Firestore. I don't know if I would use Firestore again. What's my go-to backend for mobile apps? Just any. I think right now I would just use Sales MVC with Node.js. It's like extremely easy to get everything up and running in maybe 4 hours. like half a day, you can get the entire app. No, not the entire app, but you can get a lot going. Keras models to CoreML. So yeah, I don't really do machine learning, but it's one of those topics that I would be more than happy to have someone explain to me how it works. Yeah, so SQL Server and Oracle. The website, letsbuildthatapp.com, is running on MySQL. Yeah. Line code on the website. Oh, that's you. Okay, got it. App Overflow. I bought all the courses too, even the old one. I just like to have everything unlocked. Nice. Flutter is good or native. I don't know. It's really up to you. Firebase gets too expensive too soon. Yeah, I've never really thought about this too, but I think that's correct. Yeah, I never really thought about costs. So if you guys were to guess how much my website costs to run, yeah, in the chat, how much do you think it costs to run my website per month? Let's use per month. And you have to consider the Heroku cost for the server, assets, loading things from AWS, and what else is there? Hosting the videos, that's kind of a cost. Okay, so we have $100 monthly, $150, $500 per month, $250 per month. Hosting 60, Vimeo 50, 250. If you max out the cost of Firebase, it's like $91K a month if you're pushing a high number of users. Oh, really? I didn't know Firebase was so expensive. Okay, so let me break down the cost of running my server on letsbuildthatapp.com. So I would say the monthly. So I'm going to calculate everything through yearly costs. So it's about $30. $30? No, it's about $40 to run the box per month. So per year is about $480. And then S3 cost is about 10. It's about 120. That's about 150. That's 150. And Vimeo is what, 200? The 200, I think it's 200. And then some other miscellaneous costs is probably, I don't know. So there's also emailing. Oh, this is more expensive than I thought. So there's about 30, 12 times 3, 360 for emailing. Oh my God, that's expensive. And let's see. Okay, let's just do that. Okay, 480 plus 150 plus 200 plus 360. Okay, 1190 divided by 12. Okay, so it costs about $100 to run everything, mostly everything, per month for the website. And yeah, all that is actually tax deductible. It goes into the business and it helps generate revenue. So everything for me is about $100. It's probably a little bit more, but roughly 100. Yeah. Fixed cost course price is about to shoot up. No, like $100 to run the entire website, considering everyone supporting everything. Yeah, it's great. $100 is very cheap. Like working at a tech company, you'll spend $20,000 just to support your website. Firestore bills you for each CRUD operation, so your code is not optimized. Costs will go up the roof. Yeah. Yeah. Like read operations, very expensive with Firestore. I have a question for upcoming courses. Am I going to use Firebase or Sales if you're going to deal with the backend? I don't have like a specific plan yet. So some ideas that I have for upcoming courses is I don't want to deal so much with the back end. As you can see, building out the custom server, it's too much code. It's too much. Yeah, it takes so much work to build out the custom backend. So my idea is I might just build out a course and focus on one part of the stack. For example, let's say we build out like Uber Eats, right? So a food delivery service program. Maybe I'll just build out the custom backend and launch its own server, and then just concentrate the entire course on building out the iOS side of things. This way we can ignore the backend. And then maybe I'll also put out another course where I go through how to build out the backend by itself. And this way everything's modularized, which means I don't have to like jump back and forth between different parts of the stack, which to me is kind of difficult. I'm kind of experiencing that right now with the current Fullstack course. It's just jumping back and forth between iOS, JavaScript, and the backend. It's a little much. It's a little much. Storyboard, no storyboard. I'm researching. Should I move to C# Xamarin? Rick G, you seem like you're going through a crisis here. Jesus Christ. Will I ever build out a Snapchat clone? I don't know if you ever sent me the email on the Snapchat requirements. I think you did, right? I don't know where it went. Probably went somewhere. Do I still use Code Mentor? Code Mentor takes like 20% of the mentor session. So I don't like people taking 20% of my money. So I stopped using Code Mentor. I was thinking about dedicating a section on the letsbuildthatapp.com website just to have, if anyone wants to book my time, then I can create a specific area where you can just book my time. And it would have to be a minimum of half an hour. Better way to get a hold of me is email or something. You can just email support. Email support at letsbuildthatapp.com. I look at the emails a lot, but I don't answer all of them. Okay, Jojo, I'm new to iOS. Can you tell me differences between Zib, Nib, and Storyboards? Yeah, google.com, buddy. It's called. Let me Google that for you. Yeah. There's a lot of technology out there. Some are good, some are not. Some are just whatever. As a software developer, there's really no like hierarchy. You just typically use what works for you. Most of the time, the decision is not really up to you anyways. Like, let's face it, it's usually your managing director or whoever is above you in the company that makes the decision. Yeah. Okay, it looks like today's question is coming to an end, and it's time for me to go have some lunch and then shoot some videos for other people. I feel that senior programmer's default button is on being dick mode. Yeah, I kind of feel that way too. I code without reading documentation sometimes because I'm impatient. Is that bad? I don't know. Why do you need the documentation if you can code without it? It's kind of a weird question. Do I hang out with tech lead? No. Yeah. I think I've said this before, but inspirational tech channels are really cringy. That's why you don't see me making those videos anymore. Like, oh, here's how you do, here's how programming is, here's how it looks like in 2019. These are the best languages you want to learn. Make sure you do this, this, and that. And if you do it all, you're going to be an excellent programmer. I mean, those videos are fine, but I can't find myself doing those videos anymore. Maybe I should hop on the train of positivity and motivation. And yeah, maybe I'll try to motivate people. Yeah, who knows? I think I'm getting a little bit too much of that Professor Brain as motivation. Yeah. That's kind of why I did the Professor Brain videos, because I want to motivate people, but then doing those videos with like a straight face, and I just couldn't put myself through that again. So doing it using like sarcasm, parody was the way for me to go. Okay, that's all. Kilshrista. Hey, next code 11. Beta 5 navigation link is not working with horizontal scroll view. How to solve this problem? Anyone know how to solve navigation link problem? Oh, so difficult. I can't find a solution online, so I come into the chat and ask the professor how to fix my homework problem. The thing about Professor Brain, he's very critical of the question he get in the comment section. Don't know why he's so defensive. For some reason, so defensive today. Oh, I sound like Lyle from Beardwit. I think I draw so much inspiration from Lyle. How come we sound like this? Huh? Nobody know how come we sound so funny. Where do you get these Chinese characters from? Oh, the reason why we talk like this is because in Chinese, hai 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 hai, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. No, 不闹。你能在新课程中录像吗？ It's funny making fun of yourself. It's funny. 嗨嗨嗨，加书章。哇，你的名字怎么那么难念啊？加善章，加山书伦章伦我猜对了吧？我猜对了吧？Thanks for your lessons. Greetings from Argentina. 加伦加伦章，您好，您好，加伦章。So the reason why we speak like this is because in Chinese every character it go 1, 2, 3, 4. We have one character. Every word go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. What new app am I creating for the next course? I don't know. I have some ideas, but a lot of people are asking for some kind of video editing, recording type of application. So maybe we'll do Instagram stories. See, when I want to build out Instagram stories, should I include like actually uploading the video to a server? Do you guys care about that? Or because if I have to have a server, it takes a lot of work building out the server. Maybe you guys don't care. Maybe you guys just want the front end, the iOS side, and you guys can take care of the back end yourself. Like, let me know. Do you want the entire thing? Because it takes me a lot of time to prepare that. Or do you guys just want the UI? Here's a story, plays the video, you tap, goes to the next thing. There's a bar at the top that does its own thing at the top. And you guys want the whole thing, or? And obviously the cost will range if the server side is built out. Oh Lord, building the server out for that is kind of hard. And here's another question. So if you're building out Instagram stories, you have to store this video somewhere in the cloud. Do you know how expensive it is to store videos? If you want to store high quality video, it's very expensive. Do you guys care about that? What are your guys' thoughts on this kind of thing? Because I never asked this question in the sales course, but you guys have to pay for this AWS storage. Do you guys care about how expensive things get? Or should I just teach you, like, if it costs $1,000 to serve this data through AWS, do you guys care? Like, you're not paying me the money. You have to pay AWS's money. Like, is that a point of concern while you're taking these courses? Because there's no other way around it. You have to store and serve your data from somewhere. Even though serving a gig of data from AWS is what, 10 cents? Like maybe like less than that, like 5 cents. That data gets expensive if you have a shit ton of users. So AWS's first year is free, but if you go through the roof with the data limits, I think they might charge you. In other words, be careful even though you're on the first year. Like they'll let you go if you serve 50 terabytes worth of data. They'll probably tell you and they'll probably cap you. But be very careful. So Rick G says just make 2 courses. Oh boy. Yeah, I don't know what to do with that. I don't know. Expensive server, make a cost-efficient server with Kachara Vapor. They're all the same server, man. This question, or this is a really silly comment. Doesn't make any sense. What What about setting up your own backend server? Yeah, the course is available in the description. It's called Fullstack Sales or Fullstack Social. Learn how to build out your own server in the description link. Very easy. Replicate the iMovie app, video editing, and no server side. Yeah, maybe I will just not do the server side and not handle uploading the videos to a server. But then that's not a very interesting application. It's just purely UI and no data. Like you can't access your data if you're away from your, I guess, yeah. I don't know. Maybe that'll be easier for me to record, and I just say, let's see, as a as maybe one of the lessons, I'll just disclose the fact that there's no server support for this app, so that's that. Yeah, iMovie is heavy on AVFoundation. And I think AVFoundation is like a really, really interesting framework that doesn't get explored often enough. Swift versus UI kit. I don't know. Which is better? Well, it depends. I'm on my second year free with different email address, new account. Yeah, just keep going for the new accounts until you decide to actually launch something real. That's what I did. No paying for cloud. What are you gonna host your server on? Your own machine? If you're not gonna host it on the cloud, then who's gonna be able to access it? Just you at home. I guess that's something that you can actually build, but it's kind of a niche problem. Just split it into 2 sections if you don't want to put it together. Yeah, I think I'll just put it. I don't know what I'll do. I wish some of the content that I made were independent of each other sometimes. But most of the time, I don't find it compelling enough to just build the iOS app. It's not that interesting. So I try to build out an entire full stack solution, but maybe that's a wrong focus because it gets really stressful to build out like 50 videos in a course. I'll be honest. It gets very creatively draining. Make video to show push notification. That's already available in the Instagram Firebase course. Just watch that. And there's like 5 videos on setting up push notifications. So check it out using the link below. What's the most cost efficient full stack solution? Arginas de la Rosa, you come up with the wackiest questions. I couldn't even come up with these questions if I tried to. Can I ask what your background is? Are you a developer or? So people come up with questions that are so confusing. And these are one of those questions that like, I can't even think of coming up with a silly question like this. Make details on objective-oriented programming with Swift. Do you guys want to see object-oriented specific lessons on Swift. I'll be honest. This is more like an academic class type of lesson. Building a full stack course helps a lot more than you think. Yeah. So I don't do courses and videos on so technically specific topics like object-oriented programming. I think this is a concept that, let's face it, most people don't even understand object-oriented programming correctly in the programming world. Especially if you don't have a CS background, you'll have no freaking clue what OOP actually is. And even then, if you have a CS degree, it takes like 4 to 5 years to fully grasp what you're doing with it. Yeah. So trying to explain these concepts to people is going to go over the heads of most of them. So, fun algorithms in Swift. I think I've ran out of algorithms to think of. When I go to websites like LeetCode and look at the algorithms that they test you on, they're so hard and difficult for me that I get discouraged to do my own algorithm videos. Maybe I can come up with another one. I don't know. There's also this question. There's all sorts of questions that you can come up with. Here's my question for everyone. Why do people care so much about Flutter versus React Native? I haven't come up with the answer to that question yet. Houdini Music. Why do you care so much about Flutter or React Native? Is it because your job depends on it? Like what? I don't understand. I find this stuff very interesting to me. Like, are you actually programming using this stuff? I think it's just hype and people want easier solutions on both platforms. Yeah. We want a course about how to implement payment through PayPal. That's a useful course for everyone who wants to earn money one day. I think I'll release a course on that on the website soon, like an e-commerce website. Will I make a video that fixes new problems in Messenger? I think I'll release a paid course on Kotlin pretty soon. So watch out for that. We'll have code that's more up to date. I think it's reached. They are worried about reaching both iOS and Android users before they even build something. Yeah, that seems to be the fatal flaw here. If I wanted an app development reach to you, would it be better come to you with wireframe and do all the scratch, or me to come out to you with something already partially created? So people do reach out to me with their project ideas, and they're willing to pay me my hourly rate to develop the application, and I charge people like $100 plus per hour on freelance projects like this. The only thing that I need to evaluate a project on whether or not I want to actually do it is I need at least 5 to 10 screens of your application. And in these 5 to 10 screens, It needs to have UI that makes sense, and the UI has to have like buttons, right? It has to actually visually represent what your application looks like to me. If you don't have the time to invest in that part of your app to show me what it does, then it's a sign that you're not really invested in your app in the first place. So it's probably not a project that I would want to work on. So that's me. I demand my demands for working on a freelance project. They're pretty high. I mean, they're pretty unreasonable if I think about it. But I'm not in the game to do freelance projects anymore. However, if someone does have an idea that I think is worth my time, then I will certainly spend some time on it. So Houdini says, I just don't want to code in native Android now and get forced to learn iOS because I'm already doing the backend and I want to learn machine learning, deep learning part-time. So if you're already doing the backend and you don't want to learn iOS and Kotlin and Android, then I don't know, just use whatever is easier. Santos Patel, I just want to say thank you for sharing your knowledge and God bless you. Oh, thanks. You're very welcome. Your Node.js videos are very interesting. That's great. I always hope to shed some more light on these technologies in a way that's easy to understand. That's more of what I'm trying to go for. Well, the new Kotlin course is easy for iOS developers if they have not developed in Kotlin. I would say that if you understand iOS development at a intermediate to advanced level, then you probably have the foundation to get into Kotlin development pretty easily. All the concepts are pretty similar. It's just a different way of typing out the code. Like once you see someone type it out, you're like, oh, this is the exact same thing that I've been doing in iOS, but it looks like this in Android. And so you just familiarize yourself and acclimate yourself to the different style. It's most 90% the same thing. Why don't I work for a big company anymore? Just wondering, could you be a senior with nice compensation? Honestly, the website generates enough money to be more than what you get paid as a senior developer. So, and I get my own free time, unlimited vacation, and I don't have a boss. So there's no reason for me to go back to working as a developer at a company. It's like financially, it doesn't make any sense. The only reason why I would go back to working at a company is exploring technologies in a different context. Having an actual app that has 100,000 users, that's a completely different context, and you have to think in a different way. And also maybe managing a team of 10 developers, you have to understand like different frameworks that you have to have in place to support a large team. It's totally different compared to the programming style that I currently show in these videos. It's not the same. What's my secret advice in growing a tech YouTube channel? So first, I'll give you advice on growing a regular, just an ordinary YouTube channel. If you want to grow yourself as an influencer and a content creator, you have to go into your YouTube channel with the mindset of, I have a idea that I can shoot videos for, at least 20 to 30 videos, and I'm going to make 20 videos on this one topic and try to explore as in-depth as possible. And if you don't have this idea of 20 to 30 videos, then I would say don't even start a YouTube channel it's a little bit too hard. And growing a tech YouTube channel, you have to be really, really, you have to be someone that does enjoy tech naturally. You can't just be someone that, you can't be someone that just came off the street and is talking about tech all of a sudden. You have to have one very niche segment. And so, for example, myself, I'm enjoying my time in the iOS niche. And yeah, that's kind of my thing. You have to have is that a gimmick? You got to have a gimmick, right? You got to have something. If you don't have that something that you can talk about, then making videos is not easy. What's the plan after your current course? So after the current course, I'm going to take like a 1 week break from making videos. I might start making videos for the YouTube channel again. And after that, I don't know. I think I'll take a vacation actually. Compared to working at a software company, the thing I hated working at a software company most is you can literally monitor yourself at a company and monitor how much time you're actually spending coding. It never reaches more than like 4 hours a day of truly coding. So working by myself, I can dedicate my entire day to coding without meetings and like unnecessary code reviews and talking to people that I don't want to talk to. So working by myself has been it's been great. It's been awesome. It does get lonely after a while, but the trade-offs of going through the grind of talking to shitty people at work, I hate talking to shitty people, and you'll meet plenty of shitty people at work. So, there's always trade-offs, as most of you guys already understand. Thanks for your advice. I'm asking because I'm running an iOS channel myself in German, since there are already quite some English channels. By the way, I'm working professionally as an iOS engineer. Yeah. Kevin, I think you already see that it's not the simplest thing in the world. Anyone that says that YouTube isn't a real job has never done it before, because working in a real job where you have a boss that tells you what to do, it's really easy because someone's deciding what you do for the entire day. When you're doing YouTube, you are the decider. You determine what you do for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, maybe 7 days a week. And when you get that much freedom, let's face it, it's hard to figure out what to do when you have full freedom of your entire day. Ray Wonderlake, yeah, it's a good website. Ray Wonderlake's YouTube channel is kind of dead though. It's kind of like a graveyard. Yeah, code review sucks. That's all I say about that. Do I have any videos on side business and consulting? Not so much. I don't do a whole lot of consulting, so can't really speak on that topic that intelligently. I hate computer companies. A deadline. Deadlines are a bitch. Yep. Programming is fun and should not be done under pressure. I don't fully agree with that. Programming is fun. It should be fun, but it should also have deadlines that you need to meet. Otherwise, you find people just developing the craziest things without even thinking about the company making money. You have to be profitable. Otherwise, you don't get paid for it. It's more tablet application for managing client data. Yeah, so Houdini, if you want just an easy solution, just go for a cross-platform solution. I mean, sooner or later, you'll start making money in your application. Like, you're building out a cross-platform app. It's because you don't have the resources to dedicate to a native developer, right? And then sometime down the road, you're going to need a native feature that can only be built out using native Swift, let's say. So I guess that's a good problem to have. That means that you're making money, you have users, and you need resources to dedicate to this stuff. And at that point, you'll have money. So once you get to that point, decide on a different solution. Software development is always like this. You do things in the beginning very, very, I guess, with a very crude methodology. Everything's brute force, and you just got to do it and get it out there. Once you have your money, you got to figure out a solution that's able to scale. And maybe the cross-platform solution isn't able to scale later down the road. So you got to adapt. Software is all about adapting. Okay, YouTube is just a hobby for me, but of course it's hard to find out what the audience actually is interested in. I agree. I agree. Although I wouldn't worry so much about what the audience is actually wanting from you. I think that something that content creators get confused with is the fact that no matter what you put out there, a lot of people actually will like your stuff, regardless of what you put out there. So I would say just put out whatever you want to put out, and most people will enjoy it. If you don't think that way and you always try to cater to what your audience is subscribing for, you'll find yourself kind of boxed into this little area where you can't really do what you want creatively. That's what I've noticed in my experience. Kleiser Dan, thank you, dude. With your chat app, I made my project for university. Yeah, awesome. My courses generally doesn't care about clean code. What do you say about that? I would say that I would agree with that halfway. So if the course is, let's put it on a spectrum, right? If the course is never really cared about code cleanliness, then it would look horrible, right? Let's just all agree on the fact that if I never cared about clean code, then the lessons would be just so ugly that no one would be able to follow it. So I do care about clean code up to a certain point. And that point is, if it comes to the detriment of teaching the lesson, then I forego clean code if it makes the lesson hard to follow. I hope you understand what I'm saying here. And priority is always on clean code, but if it comes to the point of which the lesson is hard to explain, then I forego the clean code aspect. So for example, right, when you're starting off a project, you mostly want to have some kind of service layer, some kind of model layer, and maybe a view model layer. If you go in trying to teach someone using all these terminologies, no one's going to be able to follow what you're doing. So you have to forego this. And it's all part of the teaching process. And this is, again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. When you're trying to teach someone something, you are not going about it. You're not going to throw everything that you know at them at one time. You have to slowly spoon feed one little small chunk of knowledge, one small chunk at one time. And that's just teaching in general. So if you've never taught anyone, trying to teach people complex topics is not easy. Joe Thunder. Professor Brain's gonna enjoy it. I have some leftover curry, and it's in the fridge. It's lunchtime, so I'm gonna get off in 4 minutes when it hits 12:40. Also wonder why I didn't use Golang rather than Node.js. Golang's hard. another priority of mine when I'm building out the courses and teaching on the lessons is I don't want to teach things that are super difficult. And not difficult in like the good way, but difficult in the bad way. Let's face it, some languages are just harder than others. And Golang not having a framework built around it that makes it easy. You don't really want to go into Golang if it's your first backend language. Just like you don't want to go into Swift programming if it's your first like language either. Like I wouldn't recommend Swift as a first language. Should teach beginner to high level dev. So I had one MVVM course. Is there a reason why you don't often use it? So that course uses MVVM to a certain point. I do agree that it's not used everywhere. But trying to teach an MVVM course is not easy either. And the most hard things in your course is the animations, yeah. Even the animations I find animations to be easy to go through compared to the more high level architecture topics like MVVM and things of that nature. How old was I when I first started programming? I don't know, like 15, which is kind of late. How old were you guys when you first started touching code? I'm going to guess the average is probably like 16, 17. If you're younger, that number tends to skew a little earlier. As a 90s baby, I guess you can call me a 90s baby. Yeah, 90s, 80s, 90s kid. I grew up in the 90s. So 18. Okay. What was your first language that you came in contact with? I'm kind of curious. I'm going to guess it was probably either JavaScript or something like Java. No. If it's early, then it's most likely JavaScript. If it's a little bit later, then it's maybe Java, HTML, Visual Basic, and C. Okay, so C is probably in the setting of a class. Python and C. Python is also very popular as a first language. C. Were you guys in like an advanced class setting? Because I was never exposed to programming in high school. I learned it on my own time. So were you guys in a college class or some kind of like pre-college advanced placement class? Databases, MDB. I don't know what MDB is. Around 10 with the basic. Joe Kim Walterson. I actually never touched basic myself. I think VB is something my sister's generation learned. My sister's 4 years older, so they learned basic. I started off with C, and that was so community college. I started with C, but before that, I learned ActionScript. So YouTube and Udemy. Yeah, there's a lot of content out there that you can access now. Yeah, so it seems like Java, C, and Python are the popular ones, which makes sense. Now that I think about it, makes sense. Yeah. My dad bought a book for my brother, but he was bummed, so I stole it. Yeah, programming is not for everyone. Programming is one of those things in life where if you're not ready for programming, if you're mentally not mature enough to handle the concepts, then you're not gonna find it fun. And if you don't find it fun, There's no way that you're going to get into it. It's very niche. It's one of those very niche topics. Micro fast access. Oh, Microsoft Access. Oh, Lord. I remember Microsoft Access. Parse server. Parse used to be owned by the Parse team, and then didn't Facebook acquire Parse? And then after that, it kind of died. If I recall correctly, I think that's what happened to Parse. COBOL. Programming requires patience to reach the top. I agree. What do you guys think the most important thing is to get into programming? What is the most important characteristic that you have to have as a human being? Is it patience? Is it intelligence? Is it persistence? Is it just curiosity? Searching? Determination? Or is it all of the above? Like, all of these are required. Tenacity. Diligence is very important. Persistence and diligence. Problem solving is kind of important. I agree more with being obsessive. The curiosity and the loving passion to learn is also something I agree with. I would say intelligence is not it's not one of the top 5 characteristics that you have to have for programming. I would say intelligence doesn't play a huge part. You don't have to be that intelligent. It's more like the problem solving aspect of it. Do not give up is the top one. Yeah, so persistence. I would say persistence is one of those important factors, because the compiler is freaking brutal. You guys can all agree with me on this, right? The compiler is not afraid of telling you the truth that your code sucks and it doesn't work. Persistence and resilience and persistence. If you can get through the constant errors of your code, running it, debugging, going through your loops, putting breakpoints, and that whole process for me is a lot of fun. If you don't find that process fun, then it's tough. It's tough. When you're going through computer science in universities, you can tell who really likes it and who's just trying to get by. It's very obvious. Grit is the most important for me. Yeah, I think grit. You certainly have to be. You have to be accepting to the mindset of not being able to get the project done in one try. Because when you think you're such a good and awesome, great developer, but let's face it, it's rare that you get the solution done in 1 or 2 tries. It takes a lot of debugging, print statements, code rewrite, refactor, throwing out your code entirely and doing it all over again. It takes all of this to even get through your very first language, right? Let alone learning 4 or 5 different languages. I mean, admittedly, it does get easier, but yeah. Yola, probably those guys are not working in the field. That is 100% correct. I can tell, you guys can also probably tell, the students, the classmates that you guys had in college, the ones that didn't truly enjoy programming, no way are they working as a full-time programmer. There's no way. Because even if you get hired as a programmer, you are going to hate your life if you don't enjoy looking at the screen for 8 hours a day. My sister actually went through that. She was an excellent like computer science student. She graduated from Davis, UC Davis, and she liked the process of programming or the process of learning the concepts, but she never really enjoyed doing the actual programming itself. So she got hired as a programmer at a company like near Davis, I think. She worked there for half a year and she hated it, and she had to go into a different field. And so she's now working for the government as I think it's an actuary is what she's doing. So she helps calculate retirement funds for the government, and it's a career move that was the right thing for her to do. Yeah. There are a lot of ideas there, and everyone should think always to write something unique. You have human brains, so you can do it. Xcode and just cryptic messages. Xcode is I have to say Xcode is probably the more helpful. The errors that you see in Xcode more helpful than the other programs, I would say. I remember one project from college took me 6 months just for one working UI. My teacher got $50K from prototype without telling us. It was executive information system project. Yeah, what am I preparing? I am preparing to get off of the stream now because I've been on for a little bit too long, just avoiding some work that I have to do. Thank you so much for everyone that's been in the chat, just giving some input and answering my questions. Hopefully it was interesting for you as well. Hopefully it was as good for you as it was for me. Maybe I'll take a cigarette later while I'm having my lunch. And yeah, we'll have to do this again sometime soon. See you around, guys.